is working on propulsion systems to get us liberated from the solar system, and he just knows an awful lot about all kinds of electrical options. So I found it interesting also that Giorgio said many times, people keep asking, is disclosure going to happen? We are disclosure. We do not get censored. We have never had something that we took to either of these networks, and I don't know who they have to talk to, but we have never been told we cannot cover a subject.
Giorgio said that?
Giorgio said that. And Kevin Burns did too.
That's
So
great.
it is great, but it's just funny because they
Well,
do
here's the
consider
deal.
themselves that.
Here's the deal. The federal government of the United States has been denying for so long and has been so cruel about it.
Yes,
has
they
been
have.
so awful about it that I believe they think they can't tell the truth.
Yes.
They would be, I don't even know what they would be. It would be bad. It would be a bad thing that happened after that. So they're letting popular culture take care of it.
Yes.
And maybe the federal government is funding ancient aliens when you really if you follow the money, which I have not done in that case, but could be easy to do. And other people probably have already done. If you ask a question, other people are already on it. That's right. What I find. So if the federal government is ashamed about admitting the truth, they may let popular culture bring it. But I've also heard, for what it's worth, that aliens may have their own agenda. They may have said, we want the public to know for whatever reason, and if you don't tell them, we will. It's just hard to say what's going on. But in other countries like Mexico and other South American countries, there have been so many sightings.
And they're very open about
mass sightings and video. Superior video. Stuff out of their Air Force as well. X-ray, maybe not X-ray, but radar. Radar is what I mean. Radar imagery, military radar imagery. Come on now. There was stuff out of North Africa, some very convincing UFO footage out of there. Yes. There was that light in Bethlehem that shot up. Come on.
That was
There are
bizarre.
Just so many cases.
That was bizarre, the light in Bethlehem.
I think 2 out of 3 Americans now believe probably there are UFOs, even if we don't know what they are or who's inside them.
Right.
Probably there are.
I agree with that assessment, because it's just fascinating to me that all the time these people, government people, right, are still, I think they're still trying to cover their nether regions because like To the Stars Academy as an example.
I was just about to mention them. Tom DeLonge.
Well, the guy that came from the Department of Defense and went with them, the guy who released the information on the, program that he was ostensibly over, and left from his position of authority there, and a very short time was with To the Stars Academy. That's not the way those transitions are supposed to function. There are procedures in place when an upper level officer makes a change like that. And I used to work for a retired lieutenant colonel, who just went into sales, and that wasn't that big a deal, right? But to go to work with something like To the Stars, either To the Stars is government funded in some way with either disinformation or full disclosure, which they have not shown any indication of, or I don't know.
They came barreling out in the last year saying they were going to disclose this and disclose that soon. And now, almost a year later, I'm not seeing much, and other people aren't seeing much. So
And the
either
videos they released were
they were telling the
innocuous.
truth at the time,
Yeah.
and some government agency very likely sat them down and explained the reality that no, they wouldn't be, not that way.
We don't think so. Yeah.
Or they are conning us. They're con artists. I don't, and it's a publicity stunt. I don't know. Time will tell. But I'll tell you one thing. One thing I do know. The government is under a lot of pressure. The United States government has to be under a lot of pressure. This is my opinion. Has to be under a lot of pressure because Elon Musk refuses to take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Whether it's electric cars or going to Mars. He's decided he wants to help colonize Mars.
Well, he
and
does.
He has a very positive track record, a very winning track record.
They just made him step down.
If he
from his
makes
corporation.
it to Mars, or if some venture he's involved in, or even if any other venture, as soon as some venture makes it to Mars, whether it's for mining or scientific exploration or to escape a polluted Earth or a threatened Earth, whatever that context is, as soon as people get there, it's going to become, well, unless they don't tell us, they at least will know whether or not there is a face on Mars. Are there the remains of ancient civilizations on Mars? Are there beings living on Mars now under the ground in facilities? What the heck is going on Mars? Because many people have analyzed photographs from Mars from the rover, and NASA loves to airbrush and use Photoshop. We know this.
True.
So what the heck is going on Mars? Once private ventures get to Mars, get to the moon, the Chinese are saying they want to go colonize the moon. Well, this contradicts what Neil Armstrong allegedly said, that beings on the moon said, don't come here. You humans are not welcome. How is it that the Chinese think they can colonize the moon? Are they blowing smoke, so to speak, or are they actually planning this? Did they make a treaty? I mean, come on, this is getting very strange.
It is getting very strange.
Musk and the likes of Musk, he's not the only one. There is a guy in that To the Stars Academy who has an aerospace company, Bigelow Aerospace.
Bigelow.
Yeah, he came out and said, first he announced the presence of UFOs. He disclosed UFOs as a truth. And then a week or so later, he made another video and he said, I'm astonished that no one has paid attention to my revelation of a week ago or so that UFOs exist. No one's interested. What? WTF?
Right.
Was basically his whole attitude. And indeed, WTF? Why is there a blasé attitude about this? To me, it's the only important topic, and because it impacts every other important topic. It impacts the U.S. economy, our educational system, our transportation system, our food supply. It affects everything, our government, everything. It's amazing how far-reaching it is and how it connects all these things.
Well, it's going to wind up being an existential question in the not so distant future, I think. And
other people agree.
How do we take care of ourselves, right?
You mean getting off the planet will become existential?
I'm sorry. Fukushima is an extinction level event. And the fact that nobody talks about it is astounding to me. They don't even cover anything relevant to it. I'm an oceans girl, right? I mean, that's my thing. And I'm just always amazed that this, there was a vaporization and release of fissionable material. And it's still pouring into the Pacific Ocean. And they can't stop it. They cannot get to it, even with robotics. And we're going to need some place to go at some point, or we're going to have issues. And I don't really know what to think of the options there.
Well, I don't like to think of Fukushima as an extinction event, although it may be. I'm not saying you're wrong. I've written for the dailyconspiracy.com several articles now about Fukushima and about nuclear power plants as well,
Right.
the hazards they present and the benefits they produce. I have to give credit to human ingenuity. And if aliens are real, which is really what it looks like to me.
Me too.
Then I understand that based on evidence to date, they apparently don't feel beholden to help us.
At all.
And it's not at all clear that we in terms of our government representatives want or have sought their help, have accepted their help. Maybe our government agencies are being forced to collaborate. When I hear stories of insiders working shoulder to shoulder with aliens, how did that happen?
Right.
How did that get set up that way? I want to know more. There's a backstory there. Was our government coerced? Were they told you do it or we obliterate you? Or were they persuaded with technological goodies and perks, payoffs, or what? Nobody's talking. To me, these are the most interesting questions on Earth.
They are.
Well, maybe these beings have know things about radiation that we don't know, because certainly human knowledge is limited. Also, in terms of radiation poisoning, it's for sure that emissions in the northern hemisphere have almost no impact on the southern hemisphere because of the Coriolis effect, the spinning of currents in one direction in the upper hemisphere and in the other direction, the opposite direction. There's an actual line at the equator in the oceans. There's a line where you see currents spinning in opposite directions. So the northern hemisphere is Fukushima'd.
As it
was
were.
One of my articles. We're all Fukushima'd.
Yeah,
The
that was
northern
a good
hemisphere
article,
is
by the way.
Fukushima'd, and we want to keep an eye on the west coast of North America. That would be Canada and the United States and Mexico. And people are keeping an eye. People are taking their Geiger counters down to the beaches along that shoreline. And I did an article on possible background radiation levels being elevated amongst California wines, which is a personal interest of mine, California wines. And I'm shocked and horrified that they might be polluted by elevated levels of cesium, which is highly toxic and comes in several isotopic varieties, so chemical varieties. The deal with radiation is that it tends to accumulate in the body. If it's accumulated, well, it will accumulate if you take it in faster than it can be eliminated naturally through urination and defecation and sweating. That's how the body gets rid of toxins. So with radiation, I just found this out, and it was a refresher course. We talk about half-life with radiation. The shorter the half-life, the more powerful it is. It loses its radiation faster, so it's a highly concentrated dose. So one of the types of cesium that's floating around outside Fukushima has an isotopic number. I believe it's 137. It has a half-life of 2 days. That's very short. It's highly toxic. There's another isotope, 134. It's got a half-life of 2 weeks. So it's still toxic, but in 2 weeks, it's basically fairly benign, and the body should be able to eliminate it. But the idea is that
I'm going to have to interrupt you, Jean.
You're okay,
because this is good stuff, and I want to hurry back so that we can continue it.
Right.
But we have to take our little break.
Yes, ma'am.
And for everyone listening, we will be right back.